Blessings, and welcome to Eartheart Radio. Finally beginning to awaken from the illusion of separateness and broadcasting live from the KSKQ studios in beautiful Ashland, Oregon. Here's your host, Shankara Das.
A.K.A. Derek Moody. Yeah, I think I'm going to remove the Shankara Das part because I'm starting to think it causes more separation. Here in the West, we don't use names like Shankara Das. People are like, who's this? What does this mean? So maybe I should just use my name, Derek Moody, to make it less complicated and less separative. Hey, my friends, thanks very much for showing up and attending today's little temple meeting. Yeah, good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Eartheart Radio, show number 19. Today we will hear the spoken word offerings from a man known as the Rogue Poet. Now, he was scheduled to be here in person, but he is experiencing unforeseen health issues. He is getting better, but he is in the hospital, and our thoughts are with him. And today we will still honor his appearance on the show by playing cuts from his spoken word album. Please send your loving thoughts and prayers and good vibrations to my good friend Poe Varnado so that he may return to a normal health level sooner than later. Thank you. You'll hear harmonious music and positive news today, and we will spotlight the man known as Mr. Rogers. That's right, Fred Rogers. Thanks to my studio guests who did come in last week as we chanted Om for world peace live on the radio. One of the people, when she left, she said her hands were tingling, and it was a really good vibration and high frequency moment for me anyway. Next week, we are happy to report our guest will be the international kirtan artist known as Jaya Lakshmi. Yeah, and we'll hear a song from the brand new solo album from Jaya Lakshmi. You might have heard Jaya Lakshmi and Ananda. They are a international traveling group of beautiful kirtan artists. So Jaya, next week, I look forward to your music. In the meantime, my friends, please relax. Take a few deep breaths, connect with the breath. And let's start off with a beautiful song from a 1986 album entitled Victoria Land. It's by the Cocteau Twins. This song is called Lazy Calm, right here on the Eartheart Radio Show and KSKQ Radio. And hello to our friends listening over in Bandon, Oregon at KBOG. Well, friends, I guess I should probably connect the device to what I'm playing. Never mind. Let's try this over. It is Lazy Calm with Cocteau Twins. I'm getting a little too lazy. What a great song for a Sunday afternoon. It's the Cocteau Twins with Lazy Calm. You are listening to the Eartheart Radio Show on KSKQ Radio. I am Derek Moody, a.k.a. Shankara Das. We do have the Saint Spotlight on the way, in which we do pay tribute to a high-frequency soul temporarily inhabiting a physical body. Also, we have a positive news segment on the way, which is the favorite part of the show, according to Brother Rick in Kenosha, Wisconsin, who is diligently in charge of the Eartheart Radio YouTube channel, which is non-monetized, non-profit, and it's free. So if you do let your fingers do the walking on the internet, it is found under Eartheart Radio. Eartheart is spelled with one H, so Earth and Heart are connected. I must give some love to the underwriters. Underwriting support for KSKQ comes from the Medford Food Co-op. Medford Food Co-op nurtures a vibrant, healthy community and abundant local food system with organic produce, sustainable meats, gourmet cheeses, and a wide selection of gluten-free, vegan, and vegetarian options. The cafe offers fresh meal solutions for busy schedules, including house-made hot soups, custom sandwiches, creative salads, and a variety of hot entrees. Medford Food Co-op and the cafe are open daily 7 to 9 at 945 South Riverside, just north of Barnett. Online at medfordfoodcoop.com. Ahead, we are going to play a tribute to Fred Rogers. I'm excited. I really am. And I've got this new toy. I've got to share this.
Do you have some favorite neighbors where you live? I mean, real neighbors with whom you can talk and play and ask for help if you need it? I hope so.
You gotta love Fred Rogers, right?
Doesn't it feel good when you're just about to do something that you know is wrong and you decide to do something else? Something that won't hurt you or anybody else? Doesn't that feel great?
It sure does, Mr. Rogers. Today, our guest, Poe Varnado, is ill. He is recuperating, but he does have a spoken word album that he released, which is a very beautiful album, available on CD, called Simply a Sayer. Now, Poe is a Vietnam veteran and a really good friend of mine, and he was going to be here today to speak about his life and about maybe the Vietnam experience, perhaps, and also he was going to share some of his poetry. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and share some of the poetry via his album, Simply a Sayer, or Simply Am a Sayer. And what I'll do, my friends, is we'll play 3 or 4 spoken word pieces in a row. They're not very long, so it's not something that's going to make you think, oh, when's this going to be over? Because quite frankly, the Rogue Poet is one of the best. This guy is a beautiful poet, and he used to be the Rogue Valley Slam Master for the Rogue Valley Poetry Slam. But because of health issues and a few other things, that was given over and turned over to a very awesome person named Alex Potatoson. And of course, the Rogue Valley Poetry Slam still happens every third Tuesday of the month here in Ashland, Oregon at the Black Sheep Cafe. It's a really super cool experience. If you've never been to a poetry slam, it's a lot of fun. It really is. Let's go ahead and kick off the segment with Poe Varnado. From his album, Simply Am a Sayer, it is track 3 and the title track from the album, right here at KSKQ and, of course, the Eartheart Radio Show.
I am not a poet. I am not a seer. I don't want to be a guru or some constant disagreeer. I am not a prophet, and I've never been a prayer. I don't know who I am to you. To me, I'm just a sayer. I say this and I say that, and I quote so-and-so. Words of wisdom, words of crap, but words to blow the status quo. Just saying what I feel is true. I'm not much of a player, but I'm doing what I like to do. You see, I'm just a sayer. Listen, and you'll find you learn. Learn, and you will grow. In the end, you'll find you earn respect for sharing what you know. I'm not a merchant of the light, come to tell you what is real. I'm not some shining armored knight, here to make our lives ideal. And I am not a preacher, come to read from heaven's scroll, nor am I a creature come to drag you in a hole. You know I'm not a martyr, for to get you all inspired. I am an a la Carter, with no wish to be desired. For when I peel the faces back, layer after layer, these naked eyes reveal the fact I simply am a sayer.
Thanks for listening to Eartheart Radio. Love everyone. Serve the people. Remember God. KSKQ.
Most anything. You could have most anything. You could have your way. You could be the crystal light that shines to make my day. You could be a goddess, have a temple all your own. You could be a friend of mine and make my house a home. You can ride on lightning, babe, and you can pick and choose, but everything you have to gain, you also have to lose. You could be a barfly and know people everywhere. You could rest here in the nest of the one who really cares. Yeah, you can ride on lightning, babe, and you can pick and choose, but everything you have to gain, you also have to lose. Yours could be a highway high from here to God knows where. Yours could be a country road from God knows where to here.
All paths lead to getting higher up the proverbial mountain. Eartheart Radio with Shankara Das on KSKQ.
Old songs seem brand new. I was listening to the station that plays the oldie songs, FM 10 something, and I hadn't listened long when I realized the tunes I heard all seemed to be brand new. I couldn't help but feeling this was somehow linked to you. Now this was very strange to me, 'cause oldies take me back to where I heard the song first sung, to people gone and places past. But as I listened further to old songs I'd never known, they truly now seem different, and their meaning has so grown since you've become a part of me and me a part of you. Everything is young again. Old songs seem brand new.
You're listening to Eartheart Radio with your host, Shankara Das.
The Saint he ain't.
On KSKQ.
Sometimes I'm not sure about the things I'm striving for. Seldom are the times I'm really lonesome anymore. Now and then, I find myself searching for a clue to a meaning for existing if I cannot be with you. So sometimes I must go away and get back to the land. I steal the canyon's silence, and I trek the desert sand. I climb the rigid mountain, and I stammer at the view, and I know how wonderful it'd be to share it all with you. Sometimes I lay in bed at night and dream that you're with me. Side by side, like birds in flight, we sail out over the sea unto a distant island where all our dreams come true. Just you and me for eternity. Imagine me and you.
You're listening to the Eartheart Radio Show at KSKQ Radio. Thanks for being here. You've been listening to the words of the great Poe Varnado, the rogue poet. From his album, Simply Am a Sayer. Please send healing wishes to Poe as he does recuperate from an illness, and I'm hoping he's better sooner than later. I do hope I have more time this hour to play a couple more cuts from his album. I would like to say, Get in Gear is proud to be an underwriter of KSKQ Community Radio. Located at the corner of A and 3rd Street in Ashland, family-owned Get in Gear is here to serve the Rogue Valley with their selection of recycled outdoor gear. Get in Gear also offers consignment for the ever-changing equipment needs of the outdoor enthusiast. Whether it's bikes, skis, backpacks, ball sports, blading, clothing, or boating, Get in Gear has it all for you. For more info, their number is 541-482-5181. KSKQ thanks Getting Gear and listeners like you for supporting community radio.
Saints, angels, avatars, sages, yogis, holy men, medicine women, helpers, elders, revolutionaries, and advocates of love. Today we honor and show love, respect, and gratitude.
Taking care is one way to show your love. Another way is letting people take good care of you when you need it.
The words of the great Fred Rogers. That's right. Every week I like to spotlight a saint. And you know, Fred Rogers, according to his wife, definitely wasn't a saint, but he did live a life of selfless service. So he qualifies for the saint spotlight today. I actually had something pretty cool queued up that it's hard to do the show alone. I kind of need an assistant, I think. But yeah, there's a few things that I would like to play before we actually get into this theme. So I'm trying to type as I talk, which isn't really easy to do, but I will figure it out. As a matter of fact, I did figure it out. So before we get into the Mr. Rogers spotlight, how about we hear this and tell me if it brings back memories?
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor.
Hey, you started ahead of me.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you, so let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor?
How cool, right? We all remember that. Mr. Fred Rogers, born March 20th, 1928. His real legal name was Fred McFeely Rogers. Remember, the postman on the Mr. Rogers show was named Mr. McFeely, so now we know where he got that name, right? Mr. Fred McFeely Rogers was an American television personality, musician, puppeteer, writer, producer, and Presbyterian minister. He was the creator and host of the television series Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which ran from 1968 to 2001. He wasn't a saint, but he lived a life of selfless service. Fred was born in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. He began his television career in 1951 at NBC in New York. After graduating from Pittsburgh Theological Seminary, he became a Presbyterian minister in 1963 and attended the University of Pittsburgh's Graduate School of Child Development. He also helped develop the children's shows known as The Children's Corner in 1955 and Mr. Rogers, 1963. However, in 1968, he did create Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which ran for 33 years. The program was critically acclaimed for focusing on children's emotional and physical concerns such as death, sibling rivalry, school enrollment, and divorce. He married Sarah Bird, known as Joanne, in 1952 and remained so for 50 years. They had 2 sons, James and John. Mr. Rogers became a vegetarian in the early 1980s, saying that he could not eat anything that had a mother. Man, I love that. Despite his strong faith, Rogers struggled with anger, conflict, and self-doubt, especially towards the end of his life. He did study Catholic mysticism, Judaism, Buddhism, and other faiths and cultures. He answered every letter sent to him by hand. He saw responding to his viewers' letters as a pastoral duty of sorts. And, I know this to be true because I'm not sure of the year, but around 1999 or 2000, I actually sent a letter to Fred Rogers, and he wrote me back pretty quickly, and he sent me a black and white 8x10 photo with a very lengthy handwritten message on the photo. And just as a side note, I do have a signed photo from Mr. McFeely, the postman from the neighborhood as well. After Rogers' retirement in 2001, he remained busy studying religion and spirituality, making public appearances, traveling, and working on a children's media center named after him at St. Vincent College in Latrobe. In 2002, he was diagnosed with stomach cancer, however. On January 6th, he did undergo stomach surgery. He died less than 2 months later on February 27th, 2003, 1 month before his 75th birthday, at his home in Pittsburgh with his wife by his side. His death was widely lamented, and most United States metropolitan newspapers ran his obituary on their front page, and some dedicated entire sections to coverage of his death. Mr. Fred Rogers was interred at Unity Cemetery in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, in a mausoleum owned by his mother's family. Long live Mr. Rogers.
I like to think of all kinds of helpers in our world. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are. You've made this day a special day by just your being you. Thank you.
There are people in the world who are so sick or so angry that they sometimes hurt other people, and they're usually the ones who end up in the news. Remember hearing about John Lennon being shot in New York, and President Reagan and his friends in Washington, and the Pope in Rome, and the young people being murdered in Atlanta and other places? Well, the people who are doing these terrible things are making a lot of other people sad and angry. But when we get sad and angry, you and I, we know what to do with our feelings so we don't have to hurt other people. The other day I talked with some school children about some of these things, and I'd like you to hear what they have to say.
And when I heard about when that one man got shot in the head, I ran upstairs in my bed and started praying for him that he stay alive.
That was certainly frightening, wasn't it? But how do you think anybody gets to be a murderer?
Maybe they're lonely.
Lonely?
Or so.
And why do you suppose that they would kill somebody if they were lonely?
Because they had no one to talk to.
Or somebody murdered somebody in their family.
Oh, you think they might have murdered somebody in their family?
And so they're just trying to pay everybody back for it.
When I was a boy and I would hear about something scary, somebody getting badly hurt or something like that, I'd ask my parents or my grandparents about it, and they would usually tell me how they felt about it. In fact, my mother would try to find out who was helping the person who got hurt. Always look for the people who are helping, she'd tell us. You'll always find somebody who's trying to help. So even today, when I read the newspaper and see the news on television, I look for the people who are trying to help. One of the most important parts of growing up is learning to talk and play about our feelings. Some people wonder if Mr. Rogers ever gets angry. Of course I do, especially when I hear about people hurting other people or when somebody hurts me.
You're listening to Eartheart Radio with your host, Shankara Das, on KSKQ. community, love, truth, nature, spirit. Eartheart Radio on KSKQ. Air, trees, water, animals. Eartheart Radio on KSKQ. Gratitude is our attitude. Thanks for tuning in to Eartheart Radio on KSKQ. Gratitude is our attitude. Thanks for tuning in to Eartheart Radio on KSKQ.
Hello, I'm Fred Rogers, wanting to add my welcome to you for this workshop about helping children deal with angry feelings. So many people have asked me, do you ever get mad? And of course I answer, well, yes, everyone gets mad sometimes. The important thing is what we do with the mad that we feel in life. A few weeks ago, on my way home from a particularly tough day at work, I stopped to see my two grandsons. Their mom and dad weren't there, but the boys were there with the babysitter in the backyard, squirting water with hoses. I could see that they were really having fun. But I felt I needed to let them know that I didn't want to be squirted. So I told them so. And little by little, I could feel that the older boy, Alexander, was testing the limit until finally his hose was squirting very close to where I was standing. I said to him in my harshest voice, "Okay, that's it, Alexander. Turn off the water. You've had it." He did as I told him, said he was sorry, and looked very sad. The more I thought about it, the sadder I got. I realized that Alexander had not squirted me, and that I had stepped into his and his brother's play with a lot of feelings left over from work. So when I got home, I just called Alexander on the phone. I told him I felt awful about my visit with him. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I was taking out my anger from work on him. I told him I was really sorry. Do you know how he answered me? He said, "Oh, Bubba," he calls me Bubba. "Oh, Bubba, everybody makes mistakes sometimes." I nearly cried. I was so touched by his naturally generous heart. And I realized that if I hadn't called him, I might not have ever received that wonderful gift of Alexander's sweet forgiveness.
Wow. That does wrap up the Saint Spotlight here at KSKQ and the Eartheart Radio Show. And man, aren't our children a blessing? Yeah, they are. Locals Guide is proud to be an underwriter of KSKQ. Locals Guide is committed to community building through the creation of positive media. They offer a monthly magazine, mobile travel guides, and visitor information kiosks, which offer timely and accurate local information to people just like you all around the world. KSKQ thanks the Locals Guide and listeners like you for supporting community radio. And today, when Eartheart Radio show ends, don't forget to stick around for Peace Talks radio show. And then after that, Sprouts will be on the air. At 4:30, Building Bridges. At 5 p.m., a program called This Way Out. 5:30 tonight, Shortwave Radio. At 6 p.m., Big Picture Science. At 7 p.m., I'm returning with Sister Tracy for the Church of Rock radio show. And then we have Late Night Funk and R&B playlist happening tonight as well.
Please let go of your fear. Positive news is here.
Things aren't as bad as it seems, no matter what they say. News with an agenda is meant to instill fear. True news can instill hope.
Do you have
Saints.
where you live? I mean, real neighbors with whom
My friends, thanks for being here at the Eartheart Radio Show. It is time now for the positive news segment of the show. We always hear the news, and most of the media is controlled by several people that, corporate conglomerates and the 1% that own the media outlets in this country. Well, this station is not owned by any of those entities. So, yeah, you're going to get some real news that's all positive instead of the negative news that they give us in order to keep us divided. A guy gives up a Christmas with his family to feed 75 stranded travelers. What a good story. Some bad weather turned into the best Christmas day ever for one Canadian who chose to give up hours of holiday fun with his own family to help 75 stranded strangers. High winds diverted a WestJet airline on December 25th, a flight intended for St. John's, Newfoundland, that only made it as far as Deer Lake on the other side of the island province. Local resident Brian Snow was friends with one of the passengers and realized that due to the national holiday, all the restaurants and the shops in the town were closed. And it was Christmas. So Mr. Snow, what a great name, happens to be the community services coordinator for the Salvation Army. And he got on social media and he posted a call to action saying, "Let's show the true Christmas spirit." And boy, within an hour, the Facebook post was shared at least 60 times, and the community organized a delightful little potluck in a hotel lobby. Residents brought sandwiches, platters of their own turkey dinner leftovers, freshly baked breads, and lots of cookies and desserts. After the meal, a motorcade was organized to get everyone back to the airport for their delayed flight. How cool is that, man? That is the true spirit of Christmas, eh? Positive news number 2. Artist hides intricate glass creations all over the world for delighted strangers to find. I wish I could show you a photo of one of these things, but man, for the last 4 decades, Josh Simpson has been meticulously crafting intricate little planets out of glass. I say planets with the quotes around them, and they are hidden all over the world for people to find. The glass artist from Shelburne Falls, Massachusetts, has made more than 3,000 infinity planets, is what he calls them, since he was inspired by Apollo astronauts taking their iconic photo of the Earth back in the 1970s. His colorful little creations are now hidden all over the world so that unsuspecting strangers can experience the joy of their discovery. If you want to suggest a place for Simpson to hide one of his little infinity planets, or if you want to look for one yourself, you can by visiting his Infinity Project website. I do have one more story, my friends, for positive news. A couple leaves a $2,020 tip for 2020 that shocks single mom waitress. See, why can't more people just be like this guy, or these people? She was homeless just 1 year ago. Danielle Franzoni moved to Alpena, Michigan, and settled into a homeless shelter after struggling with opioid addiction. Now a waitress, a generous tip is helping her build on her dreams after reaching 2 years sober. And good for her, by the way. She was working her Sunday shift at the waterfront Thunder Bay River restaurant when 2 regulars gave her the surprise of a lifetime, leaving a tip that made her burst into tears. The total amount of the bill before the unexpected tip was only $23.33, yet the pair gifted her more than $2,000 more. When asked what she plans to do with the money, the mother of 3 who just moved into a new house will use some of it to obtain her driver's license, which she has not had for 10 years, but the bulk, she says, will go into savings. She didn't waste any time, however, paying it forward, as she went out to dinner that same day, and she left a $20.20 tip for her server. That's the way to do it, huh? Pretty cool. That does wrap up the Z Positive News section. Upcoming guests on the Eartheart Radio Show. Next week, international kirtan artist Jaya Lakshmi will join me, and we will play music from her upcoming solo album. The week after, we've got David Valley from the band Divine Dirt coming in to play spiritual rock songs with his acoustic guitar. The week after, we've got the most positive musician in the Southern Oregon, Sierra Leanne Cox. She's so awesome. Then we have Marie Curie, the twin sister for the singer for the band The Runaways, talking about her book, The Narrow Road of Light. I love Marie. She's very cool, and I've had a chance to speak with her before, so that'll be a really fun interview, I promise. She's really fun to talk to. Nicole Brady, a.k.a. DJ Starlight, who has her own show right here at KSKQ. She's going to be coming on as a guest to speak about the hugging saint known as Amma. That's right. I'm very, very honored to have Nicole coming on. She's somebody I've been getting to know through the community and a very good person. And I'm looking forward to her talking about Amma because she is an Amma devotee. And that catches my attention. The following week, a friend of Nicole's will be on the air with us, Deanna Larkins. She's a vegan, so we'll talk about healthy eating. And she's also an intuitive, so that will be interesting. And I think she's been an intuitive since like age 4. I wonder if she knew she would become a vegan. I had to. The week after that, former punk rock singer and the very first punk rock singer to come out of the closet as openly homosexual back in the 1980s, somebody that I really, really admire, Gary Floyd. He was the singer for the band Sister Double Happiness and a few other great bands. We will be discussing Kali Ma and Ramakrishna. Boy, I can't wait to talk to Gary. And then the final guest we have scheduled, and we are working on some pretty big shows, though, after this. We have a representative from the Paramahansa Yogananda Self-Realization Fellowship in Los Angeles. His name is Brahmachari Marty, and he'll be talking with us about the great saint and guru Paramahansa Yogananda and the Self-Realization Fellowship, which we'll get into Kriya Yoga and things like that. So yeah, some very interesting guests coming up on Eartheart Radio Show. And I guess I'll spill the beans. I'm planning a big 1-hour tribute show to the one and only Grandma Aggie. Yeah, if you are from Southern Oregon or if you live here, you know who she is. She needs no introduction, but she'll get a big one when we do this show because we'll do an hour-long tribute to that great woman who departed this physical realm recently. Thanks to Dan Wapapa for hooking me up with the contact. I will be contacting her. I'm like about a week behind, but when I get off the air today, I'm calling her to discuss this possible tribute to Grandma Aggie, and I'm really excited about doing this in March or April. So, keep your fingers crossed, and I hope that this happens for us quite soon. I would like to play another track by today's featured guest who's not here today, but his spoken word CD is from the album Simply Emma Sayer. It is Poe Varnado, the rogue poet, and this track is called Love to Hear Her Talk, right here at KSKQ on the Eartheart Radio Show.
Love to hear her talk. I talked to her today. It thrilled me. Through the line, I felt her smile. The warmth her voice portrayed filled my inner workings with emotion and with joy, and the thought that she still loves me has rekindled an old flame. How I love to hear her talk of all the things she's done of late, the things I can't be part of. She's so young and far away. How I love to hear her talk of times to come, just she and me. Oh, how I love to hear her talk of when we both shall be set free.
You are at the Eartheart Radio Show, and that was the great Poe Varnado from his spoken word album. I don't have much time left, but I would like to share with you what I can in this little amount of time, because time is valuable. This is the great Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin having a 2-minute and 12-minute discussion at Eartheart Radio on KSKQ.
Pooh Bear, what if someday there came a tomorrow when we were apart?
As long as we're apart together, we shall certainly be fine.
Yes, of course. But if we weren't together, if I were somewhere else?
Oh, but you really couldn't be, as I would be quite lost without you. Who would I call? On those days when I'm just not strong enough, or brave enough.
Well, actually...
And who would I ask for advice when I didn't know which way to turn?
Pooh,
we simply wouldn't be.
Oh, Pooh. there's a tomorrow, when we're not together, there's something you must remember.
And what might that be, Christopher Robin?
You're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think.
Oh, that's easy. We're braver than a bee, and longer than a tree, and taller than a goose. Or was that a moose?
No, silly old bear. You're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. But the most important thing is, even if we are apart, I'll always be with you. I'll always be with you. Always be with you.
Lovely. The great Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin with a great message of forever. Thank you for listening to the Eartheart Radio Show. I would like to close the show with a couple of quotes from the great saint known as Paramahansa Yogananda. He is the guy that started Self-Realization Fellowship. The happiness of one's own heart alone cannot satisfy the soul. One must try to include, as necessary to one's own happiness, the happiness of others. Another quote from the great Mahatma. There is a magnet in your heart that will attract true friends. That magnet is unselfishness, thinking of others first. When you learn to live for others, they will live for you. Another quote from Paramahansa Yogananda. It is wisest to be impartial if you have health, but are attached to it. You will always be afraid of losing it. And if you fear that loss, but become ill, you will suffer. Why not remain forever joyful in the self? My friends, thank you for being at Eartheart Radio Show. Shankara Das, a.k.a. Derek Moody, out of here. Much love and blessings to you all.
You've been listening to Eartheart Radio with your host, Shankara Das. Eartheart Radio is produced by Shankara Das in association with Sister Tracy and Krishna Consciousness. Please tune in every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for more Eartheart Radio.